stays with us. And lately, I will sort of skip this quickly, we've had a current account problem, foreign deficit problem. There's been a radical shift from the 1990s to 2010s in the sense that Turkey has a big deficit in goods, a big surplus in services, and had a primary surplus before 2000. Now we have a huge deficit, much bigger deficit in commodities, and a tiny little surplus in services. So that the deficit has become enormous. The financing of the deficit, the figures show us, has changed for a while for the better, with at least between 2005 and the world crisis in 2008, in the sense that more foreign direct investment, long-term investment, asset financing, etc. But recently it's gone back to short-term funding. So now we have a huge deficit funded with what is called hot money. So that's the main weakness, main cyclical weakness of the economy. What has changed? A few points before I stop is what I call great globalization. The structure of the economy has changed radically, and this can be seen best in interest rates. Actually, with inflation, interest rates in Turkey has gone down to what can be called normal levels. Turkey was actually paying unimaginably high interest rates throughout 1990s and early part of 2000. Here you can see you could earn 25% on Turkish lira real after inflation in 2000. Those were the good days for those of us with a few liras, put in the banks or thing, and 15-20%. Even in overnight, if you let your money, if you took Turkish lira and risk on a nightly basis, which many people did, you still earn 20%, 18% sort of real interest rate adjusted for inflation in the early parts of 2000. As you can see, with the crisis and whatnot, they're now at very low levels. As the interest rates went up in the Greece public debt, now you're paying 25%. Now you're paying, if you borrow from the market, you'll be paying 25%. Turkey borrowing at 5.5%. In dollars and euros, and in its own currency, that is borrowing at 9%. So that's the change. And central bank is paying only 1.5% a year for TL, short-term overnight TL. That's the change. I'm not showing off, but this is fiscal discipline. This is the budget surplus before interest payments. Even in the crisis, at the peak of the crisis, Turkey had a small surplus in the budget. Before interest. That's what I mean by fiscal discipline. That's why I'm putting your fiscal house into order. It's that order which explains the magic of Turkish stability, is that the public sector is sound. The government doesn't need the markets, has very low borrowing needs. It doesn't need the markets. So when how the markets are, when you don't need them, that's when they want to lend you. When you need them, that's when they will never lend you. So we make the upper end. And the recovery after the crisis is reflected in unemployment. So you see how in the crisis unemployment got from about 11% to 15%, and it's now already back to pre-crisis levels, as the graphic shows you about that. This is high unemployment, yes, but nevertheless, from 11 to 15 back to 10 is a story. Unfortunately, the cyclical issue is the fall in private savings, which is the cause of the great deficit. The short-term problems of Turkey seem to be around, the short-term after the election will be around the deficit. The external deficit. The deficit is rising, it's big. What to do about it? How it's going to be done? This is being debated. We don't want to go into the details. Anyway, the economists never agree among themselves, so it's a big fight. It doesn't always make sense to them. 3. And this has happened because the Turkish lira has gained value. The Turkish lira is the Turkish lira from 2003 to today, as you can see, it goes up and up and up. This is not sustainable. So in the after the election, we're going to see some correction. In other words, the value of TL in real term will go down, but probably in an orderly way. Nothing like a big term. This is what should be expected. Trade deficit is rising. I don't think you want to go into that. This is a sort of a brief summary of how I see the current year and the coming year. The growth will be positive, relatively strong this year, around 6%. Could be more. I think the economy will slow down after the elections. Slow down, but still positive. 4% growth by European standard is fantastic growth rate. But good growth is high rate. The share of domestic demand will fall. Inflation will be low by our standards, high by your past standards, but high by European standards, which is partly also structural. Exports will rise relatively fast, partly helped by the change in the exchange rate. We'll have a record deficit this year, but then next year there will be an improvement in the deficit, partly due to the improved competitiveness resulting from the depreciation of the TL. So with the slowdown, maybe the inflation, maybe the unemployment rise a little bit after the elections. Monetary policy will not change much, and maybe some, as the economy slows, some fiscal shall we say, stimulus, or at least some fiscal help will be given to the domestic. Okay. That's about it. Thank you very much.